だぜ Your heart 間近のに立ち尽くす消えてしまった Chance お決まりの悪いシナリオさ擦り切れそうな Your dreams 終われないこのままじゃ変えてみせろよもう時間ならまだ残っている絡みつく鎖を断ち切って湿っぽい昨日を蹴り上げろ Alright 噛みついて明日も掴み取れ Loser yeah
You lay a finger on us and you'll regret it.
Turn around now, and you can go home in one piece. But if you don't, then keep this in mind. Everything could have been avoided if you just let her leave.
Warning, warning. Terrible voice acting detected. Attempting to rectify with OG voice.
俺らに手出したらただじゃ済まないよ。
お前らも今回り道すりゃ無事に帰れる。さもなきゃこれから起きることは全部お前らの選んだ結果だ。
Hi there! Welcome to the channel, and I'll be covering Like a Dragon Gaiden, the side story companion to Like a Dragon 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon. I'll be using the Steam port for the game, and no, I'm not going to use the full name of Gaiden because the man who erased his name, or TMWEHN, sounds like pig Latin when it's acronymed, is a little too long to say over and over again. So don't worry about it, I'll still call it Like Dragon Gaiden or just Gaiden for short. And this is a game I was excited to see happen because while the mainline entries of the series are going into the RPG territory from now on, and doing it pretty well, just watched my video on 7 right here. Shill, I'm going to shill me hearties. Gaiden showed that Ryuga Dotoki Studios still had the touch for the traditional action adventure beat 'em up that the series started with. So how well did they do with a side story entry? Well, let's join Joryu. Obviously, he's not Kiryu Kazuma, the Dragon of Dojima, no relation. Revisit Sotenbori and see new sides to the Yakuza underworld and and see Joryu in the role of a secret agent. Let's see just how good is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man that erased his name.
Seriously, that is a long-ass name.
わかりましたよ。ならこれが登場回最後の花火だ。なんやこいつら。我々はヌーディストビーチだ。
Oh, behave. Yeah.
For those just joining, I'm a massive fan of the series, and I'm not going to hide that. When Gaiden was announced and would have Joryu returning as the main playable character, being excited to play as him again would be an understatement, especially with all the bells and whistles added to the game. After Like a Dragon 7, the series would formally adopt the Like a Dragon moniker for later games, at least in the West, with the Gaiden suffix to differentiate it from the other parts of the series. For those that don't know, Like a Dragon was called Yakuza here in the West, and the rest of the world just called it Like a Dragon. Why it was called that, I don't know. For those that don't know what Gaiden means, when it's translated to at least traditional English, it can roughly mean side story, spin-off, or for the fancy peoples, supplementary tale. So that would make sense for this entry. Whereas games like Ninja Gaiden, it just sounded cool. Question: does Ninja Gaiden sound cool, or does Ninja Ryukenden or Legend of the Ninja Dragon Sword sound cooler?
Honestly speaking, I think the latter sounds a tad more badass.
After the success of 7, Gaiden did a 180 and went back to formula for this side story, with Joryu and came with revamped combat systems and new story to tie into 7's story that explains some things that happened to the background of 7 with Joryu. Was it necessary? Not really. Is it a fun entry that expands on things? Yes. So why is this man that looks like Joryu playable again? Well, go watch this nifty playlist I made with the previous game. Spoilers are for the story segment. So, did the return to traditional gameplay do well? Judging from what I could find, yeah, it did pretty well. It launched not only on all consoles other than the Switch and PC, it also launched on Xbox's Game Pass service and did well from many review outlets, and would also get a English voiceover update. I do not like the dub. If you know, you know.
Get the young out of here. We're not watching your version of the news. Also, you suck as Kiryu. Get the hell out of here.
Judgment.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Just letting out some inner hate.
For physical sales on PS5, PS4 at a combined 123K in Japan, that's nothing to scoff at for a spin-off title of a long-running series, and is just the physical sales and it isn't including the other platforms. Especially since physical versions aren't readily available where I live. You have to get it digitally, or you can't really get, or you have to import it from like PlayAsia in some instances. Since it did have infinite wealth to following it up, I'd say that the game did fairly well. And for a spin-off game, Gaiden is really, really good. The story is probably the shortest and doesn't take too long to finish, with some plot points that do repeat a little bit, a ton of callbacks to previous games, so if anyone played previous games, it'd probably be really neat to just point and go, I understood that reference.
You don't understand?
I do. I understood that reference.
The new cast of characters are pretty interesting, and their interactions with Joryu are a great standout. The music is also a massive standout again, making this spin-off title a very, very good package that, though is probably the smallest in activities and what to do compared to previous games, what it does do, it does very well. There are, of course, criticisms for the game that I share a bit. For example, some of the side missions can be a bit tedious, and while the story is great, once it really, really picks up, and once it finally does pick up, it feels like it just ends. How it ends is still satisfying for me to get into Infinite Wealth later and play through again, so that's a bonus. And while 7 had pacing issues, these were adjusted, making a stronger story, like what happened with Yakuza 6 after Yakuza 5, trimming out the fat and focusing on the more important aspects of the story, and the game engine feeling less experimental and more fleshed out by this point. And I did mention that Gaiden did get an English dub. I still prefer the Japanese voice actors, especially Joryu's. When you play so many games, it's reasonable to expect a character to sound a certain way. I didn't mind it in 7 as much, but Gaiden, nope, not my Joryu. So how does Gaiden do with going back to formula of the series after already delved into the RPG genre? Well, it may be similar to previous games. It brought in a bunch of new toys to mix it up a bit in its gameplay. Similar to the previous games before Like the Dragon 7 changed it, the main game mechanics are like an action-adventure beat-em-up, and that's the best way I can really describe it. The combat has been tuned to a degree that if anyone goes back to previous titles such as Yakuza 6 or Yakuza Kiwami 2 that also used the Dragon engine for combat, would notice a pretty big difference with the movements in combat. Joryu feels a lot more fluid, especially with the style system brought back to the Like a Dragon series. It was removed for some reason after some point. It was put in the Judgment spin-off series, but it coming back is a nice addition. Most notable is the agent style. With this style, Joryu is able to dodge more efficiently and able to break out of holds and disarm enemies easier, but what really makes this style stand out is the gadgets that Joryu gets. The first is Spider, a deployable wire from Joryu's wrist, like Spider-Man, letting Joryu pull in enemies or fling them around on the field while also being one of the most used gadgets in the game. There's Hornet, letting Joryu call in RC drones to distract enemies and damage them. Firefly are these unassuming cigarettes that function as mini grenades. And finally, Serpent. These shoes, letting Joryu use them as jets to move around the field and barrel through enemies rapidly. The agent style is one of the most versatile styles that Joryu gets, even when considering Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 1, with how much this one style can do. The other style is Yakuza style. For many players, this style is immediately recognizable as the Dragon of Dojima style, aka Joryu's default and signature style from previous titles, with not many differences from previous games other than it being more snappy to play. And this is the style I use the most in the game. The style basically makes Joryu charge his attacks, counterattack when hit, and deliver devastating combos that take out opponents with little to no effort and just send enemies flying all over the place. Joryu can also unlock upgrades that vary from health, heat actions, damage increases, more heat abilities, to more moves and gadget upgrades with the money that he can get. But money isn't the way to unlock all the upgrades, so this is where the Akame network comes in. The Akame network is the home base for Joryu while in Sotenbori and functions as a place to get specialized items and Akame network points from the side stories or from just wandering around Sotenbori and helping people out with their various issues to boost Akame's influence and information gathering with the homeless. Akame is also the link to one of the other additions to Gaiden, the castle, held inside a massive freight ship that holds various minigames, customization options, and the arena being the biggest standout. It's either called the arena or the Coliseum, whichever one. The Coliseum lets Joryu take in a clan of people that can be found either inside the castle or in side stories to get not only money, but also unlock more items, and is overall a fun addition to the game. A majority of Castle is very side content and isn't necessary to complete. Side stories this time are picked out at the Akame hideout that can vary from typical investigations, finding people bothering local homeless. There's even one where you meet Kaito from the Judgment spin-off series and help him out. There's also returning drink links, most notably with Akame herself, giving more depth to this new character that really bounces off Joryu well. There's also mini games that return like golf, arcade machines with Virtua Fighter, Sonic the Fighters, karaoke, billiards, and darts with the returning, am I reading this type of script right? Pocket Circuit is back!
God, yes.
Curtis? Is he dead? I can breathe!
I can fight!
Okay, I'm calm. I'm just very excited to see Pocket Circuit back. I cannot convey how much I am so excited. Pocket Circuit is probably my favorite minigame of the whole series. Being able to customize the cars for various tracks, tournaments, and have rivals to take on. It's just cool to make something and see it in action every time. I don't know why, I just love pocket circuit so fucking much. There's also this VR cabaret club that's a new addition to the series, and it is surreal to see IRL people in a 3D space like this. It's just weird. There are other minigames that can be found to play in the game as well, and though Gaiden has probably the smallest offerings for minigames and side content, it uses them to great effect to still be enjoyable. Now, there's the story. This is probably the shortest story in the series, but it's still a great ride.
この歌を送るぜ。
どれだけ深く愛したら俺に振り向いてくれるのかい何度も傷つき泣かされてきたのにまだいつのことが好きなんて幸せ色の人並みに涙よどうか埋もれてくれ不甲斐ない寂しさちっぽけなプライドあぶり出すようなジングルベルあの子が吹き消し微笑む姿夢見ていたライターで灯したタバコにロマンチックな雪が降り積もるさよならさらないもうすぐ愛しいあの子はあいつの腕の中さよなら降りないプレゼントの配り先のない哀れなサンタクロース世界中が愛で満ちる夜にさよなら俺のサイレンラ
As per usual, in my story segments, I'll put a skip somewhere around here, so if you want to go in blind to the story and not be spoiled with anything, I'll make sure there's something around here, and I'll wait a little bit. The story of Like a Dragon Gaiden begins with some flashbacks to the end of Yakuza 6 with Kazuma Kiryu, after he has successfully completed a bodyguard job. He is now called Joryu, having faked his death 3 years prior, and is now working for the Daidoji faction, a secret alliance formed from politicians that operates in the shadows in Japan to maintain control over economics and politics in Japan with legal and illegal means. After being tasked with the smuggling job that turning into a trap to kidnap Hanawa, Kiryu's handler, Kiryu goes to Ijinjo to investigate the Seiryu clan, where it's revealed the Omi Alliance's Watase family being behind the attempted kidnapping, led by Yuki Tsuruno and Kosei Shishido. Attempting to get Kiryu to work with them, when refused, they kidnap Hanawa for leverage. Kiryu then has to deal with the Daidoji faction, willing to abandon Hanawa, which Kiryu disobeys. He meets Tsuruno, who tells him to find Akame and Sotenbori to get inside a secret red light district called the Castle, operated by the Kijin clan and led by Homare Nishitane III. For any fans, this is a very fun callback to Yakuza 0's Nishitane there. And after proving himself to Shishido, Kiryu is able to find and free Hanawa. Tsuruno reveals that the reason Watase wants Kiryu's help is to finalize the dissolution of the Omi Alliance and Tojo clan, with Daido being on board as well. Joryu unfortunately ends up having to pay for some of his decisions and is seemingly about to be executed by Hanawa when the Daidoji boss and Tsuruno stop it, with Tsuruno having bought Kiryu's services until the dissolution is completed. In order for the plan to work, Joryu and Tsuruno lure Nishitani out of the castle as his influence is a major obstacle to the dissolution plan. The plan works and Shishido and Kiryu are able to find and subdue him, with Shishido under orders to kill him when he has a chance, and Joryu does not take kindly to this. Joryu later meets up with the newly released Watase in a construction site when Shishido reveals he's against the dissolution and had faked Nishitani's death. Joryu, Watase, and Tsuruno are able to fend off their attack and arrive at the Omi Alliance HQ to formally begin the dissolution process as seen in Like Dragon 7. Just in better graphic resolution. After those events is a final brawl between Shishido and Kiryu, ending with Kiryu defeating him with his old friends, taking down some of the remnant Omi. The game cuts to 2020 following the events of Ryo, Aoki, and Ichiban thwarting his plans in 7. Kiryu is given a gift for his services. Footage of his adopted children from Morning Glory visiting his grave, and a picture from Haruto, Haruka's son that he protected in Yakuza 6, for those that don't remember. Seeing this makes the normally stoic Kiryu break down to pieces after seeing it. This scene makes me tear up anytime I see it too, just because the actor sells it so well, and if I have to cry, you get to cry with me. So here is the entire clip.
何せ500億の利権です。ついでに私個人としては命も救われている。それを仮のままにしておくのはあまり気持ちいいものじゃありません。そこでまずはこれをお見せすることにしました。初めて見るでしょう。そこは沖縄のあなたのお墓です。我々の隠しカメラが撮影していました。桐生一馬の大事な子供たちを監視するために。その日はあなたの命日でした。春人君は4歳でしたか。かわいい盛りです。カメラが遠いのは我々の監視がバレないためなのであしからず。最後にお参りしている2人は太一君と綾子さんです。ところがこの後レンズが反射してしまったのか、綾子さんがカメラに気づいてしまいます。
おじさんのお墓に向いてる？
隠し撮りしてんだ。多分俺たちのこと。
じゃあもしかしてこれおじさんが仕掛けたとか？
おじさんがやっぱり死んでなかったとしたらそうかもな。ヤッホーおじさん。
あんた何やってんの？
だってこれおじさんが見るかもしんないんだろ。ダメでもともと別にいいじゃん。ねえおじさん、俺のことわかる？太一。それに綾子姉ちゃん。こっちはみんな元気。はるか姉ちゃんもはるともね。
シロも泉もコウジ、ミツオ、リオナ、エリ、みんな元気だし、それに実はみんなおじさんが死んだなんて信じてなかったりする。本気でだよ。
おじさん、俺消防士になったんだ。何かあってみんなが勇気を出せないでいる時、 真っ先に人を助けられる人間になりたいと思ってさ。多分おじさんの背中を見て育ったからだよ。
私はね、小さな会社で事務やってる。ちゃんと就活も頑張ったんだ。
コーチもサラリーマンになった。
リオナはアパレル業界、エリは今保育士目指してる。泉はトリマーになったの。豆で練習してた。
ミツオはとりあえずフリーター、シロンは理系を専攻してる。ハルトは今やんちゃなんだよね。目離すとすぐどっか行っちゃって、はるか姉ちゃんとゆうたさん困らせてる。きっと何か事情があるんでしょ。生きてたら絶対俺たちに会いに来るもんな。
もし本当にこれを見てたらさ、何か合図をくれない？もう私たちは自力で何とかやってるし、おじさんに面倒見てほしいなんて言わない。ただ、もしかしておじさんは一人で寂しいんじゃないかなって。
合図が来たとしても朝顔のみんな以外には内緒にしとく。それでいつかおじさんが帰ってきてよくなるまでおとなしく待つよ。
そうそう、私も太一ももうお酒飲めるし、絶対楽しいよ。いっぱい話すことあるんだから。
あ、そうだ、俺たち明日また来るよ。おじさんに渡したいものがあるんだ。はるか姉ちゃんたちもカメラに話してもらいたいし。
おじさんに渡したいものって？そっか、それいいね。
じゃあまた明日。
じゃあね、おじさん。
あいにくカメラは現地のエージェントがすぐに取り外しました。監視対象にバレた以上妥当な判断です。
そうだな。
あなたにこの映像を見せることが果たして褒美になるのか検討をしました。
いや、見せてくれた。感謝する。
太一君はさっきあなたに渡したいものがあると言っていましたね。隠しカメラを回収した翌日、その場所へ朝顔の子供たちがやってきて絵の入った筒を置いていきました。ですが死んだはずの桐生一馬が絵を持ち帰ったと思われるわけにはいきません。そこで現地のエージェントは中の絵を撮影だけして元に戻しておきました。ハルト君が描いた絵です。真ん中にいるのがあなたでしょうか。
うまい絵だな、ハルト。見ろ、4歳ってのはもう字が書けんのか。最後に会った時、あいつはまだ喋れもしなかったの。なのに
立派にやってますよ、はるかさんも他の子たちも。
まったくだ、あいつらとっく自分の足で立って歩いてる。なのに俺が一人で寂しいって口に出すことさえできずにいた。子離れできてなかったのは俺だけだったんだな。
After he is given his gift, Kiryu's told that he can actually go on a vacation as long as he keeps the cover, and under Taichi Suzuki, actually a name that he used to use, he actually is able to go on a vacation. Then there's a post-credits scene, cutting roughly 3 years later, so 2023-ish, is a very grayed Kiryu visiting a church in Hawaii, leaving the ring he gave Yumi Sawamura all the way back from the original Yakuza game as the game ends.
どうやキルちゃん。
Like Dragon Gaiden, despite it being a side story, is very fleshed out and great to play. Even after the main entries of the series moving to an RPG formula from now on, it looks like Ryuga Gotoku Studios will still do their original gameplay with spin-off titles, like Gaiden. This is more supported with the newly released Pirate Yakuza game with Majima as the main character this time around. Whichever style they do, they seem to really know how to not only make a stellar story, but also a fun game to play regardless of the genre they're aiming for. Its focus on a smaller scale and story, minigames, and side content is definitely more of a strength to give it a place among the series as one of its best offerings. Playing as Kiryu again, yeah, I'm done with the joke, was a welcome addition, and seeing more of what happened to him after Yakuza 6 really expanded the world of Yakuza, with Gaiden actually feeling more grounded compared to like Dragon 7. It still has its batshit, realistic anime style craziness, of course, which really is entertaining, even if it's not to the same degree as 7. 7 is just, whew! Overall, Ryuga Gotoku Studios going back to formula with Gaiden after 7 was welcome, especially since they refined their formula even more again. And I do understand the criticisms of Gaiden 2, but they didn't detract from my personal enjoyment of the game. I'll gladly play Gaiden again, and with it being one of the shorter entries, that's a bonus. I've played it at least 3 times now, and I've bought it at least 3 times now. For any newcomers to the series, this is the least beginner-friendly for new people to the series. For anyone wanting to get into the series, I always suggest going with either Yakuza 0, Kiwami 1, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, or Like a Dragon 7. The former two are to help people fully integrate into the series beginnings with the Kiryu saga, and the latter as a way to jump into the RPG formula of the series with new characters and not as much lore baggage. Just definitely don't make Like a Dragon Gaiden your first Yakuza Like a Dragon game. If you do, you're gonna be very confused. Now, we're at the ending of the video. I'd like to thank you for watching up to this point. So I'm going to solicit for a like, comment, or even ask for a subscription to my channel for more stuff like this, or I'll have Kiryu to stare at you for 5 minutes with Majima in your walls. Does Like a Dragon Gaiden actually do more with less? Is that VR Cabaret Club really weird and out of place? Will Pocket Circuit appear again or go on hiatus all over again? Does Ryuga Gotoku Studios do RPGs or action-adventure beat-em-ups better? I hope I was able to show just how good Like Dragon Gaiden is, despite the long name, and we'll see you in the next video. Now, let's see off Kiryu.
実は私、大道寺の人間になるより以前、別のつてであなたを知る機会がありましてね。初耳だよ。私もあなたと同じなんです。何がだ？新たな人生を手に入れるために、自ら名を消した男の一人。要するに、まだまだあなたの知らない秘密があります。もうそういう話にもなるた。どうぞお気をつけて。
back out. New perspective gain.